Aswan. It was the southernmost city in Egypt that we stayed. Our accommodations were small and quaint, but really well located right on the Nile River. Philae Temple is one of the main attractions here. You have to negotiate and get yourself a boat in order to go see. Not sure how good I was at negotiating, but for 12 bucks, we got a driver and a boat. He took us to the island and gave us about an hour and 20 minutes to walk through the temple and then return. Tickets to Philae Temple were about $11 each, and this was a pretty impressive sight, I thought. The Philae Temple complex is dedicated to the goddess Isis. This is an Egyptian temple built in the Roman era of the 3rd century BC. Originally on Philae Island, it was dismantled and rebuilt on Agilkia Island after the Aswan Dam project threatened it with submersion. This was one of the last strongholds of the ancient Egyptian religion, with Christians coming later and converting parts of it into churches. Up to this point in our trip, Philae Temple offered some of the best carvings and hieroglyphics that we'd seen thus far. There's no shortage of professional photography going on. There's a lot of people on the island and everyone comes over on these smaller boats, so there's a lot of them. It took us a while to find our driver, but we managed. The locals have this process down pretty well. Tickets to the unfinished obelisk were only about $5 a piece. It was kind of neat walking through this ancient stone quarry where they built the big obelisks. This particular one would have been the tallest one in the world had it not been for these fissures that developed during the process of carving.
We're on a Egyptian tuk-tuk and we're headed to check out a Bob Marley place. We're gonna see if it lives up to the name. Kareem has given us a good ride here.
Well, our driver took the long way around, showing us a bunch of stuff, thinking he was trying to make an extra tip. Then at the end, he tried to charge me double. So you gotta really be careful with these guys. So we took a short ferry ride, walked some back streets, and found the Bob Marley restaurant and hotel. We enjoyed some good music and some good chicken tagine. I'd been eyeing these feluccas on the river and really wanted to try it, so we negotiated a price with our server at the restaurant. Of course, we got a different price when we got to the boat and talked to the captain, but it worked out. You see these guys on the sailboat skimming along on boards? Well, this kid showed up and wanted about $1 for singing some songs for us. Yep, McDonald's in Egypt. Day 2 in the books for Aswan and time for a sundowner. Abu Simbel is a day trip, quite a ways from Aswan by bus, and I'm not putting the price down because there are a lot of different tours to choose from. There were a lot of people here, but the place was really impressive. It gets pretty crowded inside with all the folks, but you mostly get your pictures taken. This is another site that was affected by the dam. UNESCO got involved. There was a lot of money that it cost, but this whole complex was moved from below the river line to where it sits now. Very impressive feat. See what I mean by the crowds? It takes some patience, but Margo got the shot. It was said that the Nefertari statues are almost the same size as the Ramses statues. This was done by Ramses, and it was done because he wanted to show how much he loved his wife.
And just like that, Ramses became my favorite pharaoh.
Instead of flying or taking the train, we chose to hire a car and transfer between Aswan and Luxor. The reason is it affords us 2 stops along the way.
We left Aswan this morning and we took a ride we're taking a ride to Luxor, and we're going to make 2 stops. The first one, we're here now, is Kom Ombo. Let's go see.
The entry ticket is about $14 or $15 US. I recommend doing it this way as opposed to doing it online in case you're not sure of which day you're going to travel, because then you would have to lock it in when you get it online. I don't think the ancient Egyptians did anything on the down low. These structures are grand everywhere we looked. Kom Ombo started showing a lot of hieroglyphics, more than some previous temples. The colors were popping, the impressions were dug in instead of popping out. There were quite some differences going on. This might be the only place in the world with a crocodile museum. It was kind of neat.
Stop number 2, we are at Edfu, which is a temple dedicated to the god Horus.
Edfu was a place where we started to notice a little more color showing through. Margo and I were impressed with how well covered all of these structures were with pictures, carvings, hieroglyphics, you name it. We joked that maybe the workers got in trouble if they didn't do enough. There is one thing that's really disappointing to me about my travels through Egypt, and that is about the pictures and the carvings. What I mean is, so many of the faces and sometimes the whole bodies were just completely scratched off. Some of our pictures don't really show that because we avoided those for the most part, but it was really a bummer to see. Have you ever seen so much writing and you wish you knew what it said?
Tell us what it says.
I don't know. This one caught my attention because you don't see affectionate poses often. Margo, come this way. It's always fun to find a little secret passageway. Here you'll see some disfiguring like I was talking about earlier. We found out during our drive that there's a shortage of gasoline and diesel in the country. It was a little nerve-wracking when we went through about 5 or 6 gas stations and nobody had anything. After several stops and a few phone calls, we finally found somebody that could help us out. And that just about ended our trip.